Hey friends, David Miller, multimedia artist in Los Angeles, talking to you from my home studio, Primordial Creative, another one of those INFP creative type videos. I was thinking a lot about the pain points of artists because when you talk to creatives out there, if they are empathetic, if they're feeler, intuitive types, they usually will admit that they hit these walls, and it's almost always due to these four pain points that I want to address, but I also want to give solutions, or not necessarily like blanket solutions for everybody, but maybe ideas that could work for you if you feel like you as an intuitive feeling creative have these four pain points. So number one is about materials and technology, and in a lot of ways I think this is the easiest of everything to solve, because the pain point involving materials and technology is I don't have a thing that I think I need to make what I want to make, or I don't know how to use technology to make things I want to make. Two quick solutions. Number one, I think if you look at the history of every artist you've ever respected, every filmmaker that has existed, if they made something and you've heard of it, they worked with what was available to them and accepted that limitation. George Lucas in Star Wars, didn't have everything he wanted to make that film. I keep bringing up Guillermo del Toro because he's my hero, but I gotta say, he worked with what he had, and the things he knew were crucial to his films, like makeup effects for Kronos, he learned it, and he didn't give up until he learned it. I've been listening to David Lynch's audiobook about his life, and he talked about the Elephant Man, and he was doing the makeup for the original iteration of John Hurt's character, and it didn't work. And he wanted to give up, but he had support from other people who put him in, good company with the person who eventually did the makeup for that. So work with what you have, learn what you don't know. It's not that hard if you accept the limitations. If you can't accept the limitations, then you're not going to make anything. What if I wanted to do a photo shoot and I wanted a new camera? I got that camera. Now I have other ideas, but I don't have, the right lights and all this other stuff. The desire of consumption and all that stuff, it just doesn't end as a barrier to you actually making something. View it as a challenge. Eventually you'll have the tool you think you need. You'll have the skill you think you need, but you get that through leveling up, not by not making anything until all the materials and technology and knowledge just drops out of the sky. That's pain point one. Pain point two is lack of concepts, where people have the skill, they just don't know what exactly they want to make. And once again, I got to look at all the other intuitive feelers who have created wonderful works. This is actually the great thing about an intuitive feeler, is that intuition is what generates your path, not data, not knowing the end of the path so you start walking in a direction. You just have a strong feeling and it gets you moving. If I don't know what to draw, I'm really in tune with my intuition, and I kind of know what I have strong feelings about, whether it's like a society thing or just a general life philosophy or a particular kind of character. I'll start doodling in Procreate. Maybe that doodle turns into something else. Maybe that doodle doesn't. Maybe that doodle is something that I revisit years from now, but it's just kicking the tires, man. It's just pushing that little snowball down a hill that becomes a big snowball. Even if I don't end up illustrating something wonderful based on my starting to doodle, it sparks the imagination. It makes me feel like I've done something. Concepts come out of that. Concepts come out of all the TV you watch, and all the movies you see, and all the conversations you have, and all the things you saw in a store while you're shopping, and all the stuff you saw in an art museum, and all the things on your iPhone notes that you've written down that you thought was a good idea and you forgot about it, but you remember it again when you're walking the dog or taking a shower, whatever. Your ideas, they flow in and out. I can start doing a type of art, have no ideas, and then it sparks something that I haven't thought of in 15 years. And that becomes the idea. And I will tell you that I think that the rapidity of working with AI, getting something made in a short amount of time, actually has caused this cascade of other ideas that I want to do. Whether or not you think it's of any value because it utilizes AI, all I'm telling you is that if you can make a few songs in an hour that resonate with the kind of music you like or the words you wanted to say, you're going to be sparked to be more creative in any other fashion than if you think you have a great concept but you're not good enough, or you just don't have it developed enough to make it. I mean, all great paintings started from sketches, and sketches of things that people had no great idea for, The third pain point is the one that I struggle with the most personally, and that is finishing things. An intuitive feeler has many intuitions and many feelings that come about. If you look at the INFP cartoon on 16 personalities, it's a person surrounded by butterflies. They're just chasing all these butterflies in other directions. I do not know how many times in my life, I hesitate to think about it, where I've had something I've worked on for months, maybe years, and I didn't finish it because I got more intrigued about this other shiny object, And I've never had a creative boss who sort of picked up the slack. Like, I made something up to the point where I didn't know what else to do with it or couldn't finish it, and then the other person just kind of stepped in and finished it off. I've never had that in my life. So anything that ever got finished was because A, it was an art form that I learned to be pretty fast at, like photography, or B, it was something that I had to push myself to do, or I was just devastated that it couldn't be done, The only good advice I have for people who can't finish things is chain yourself to a desk until you finish it. Do what it takes. If caffeine helps, do that. If you're concerned about it being of quality so you can't just sit in one place to finish it at once, then this is the life hack. You do it in increments every day, every weekend, whatever it is. Look at early filmmakers. Peter Jackson, famous INFP filmmaker. I don't know how many years it took him to make Bad Taste, but I'm going to put it up here. I do know David Lynch was 5 years on Eraserhead, and Guillermo del Toro 8 years on his first film, Kronos. Those are massive undertakings to make films for sure. The more I stagger my projects in a way, those 30 minutes that I spend every day working on something, it does get done, and maybe it gets better because I looped in what I learned on other projects. Unfortunately, it means things take a long time, but INFPs famously don't give up. Let's put it this way, your creations are your babies, so abandoning or neglecting your children that you've put a lot of effort into, it's just not acceptable. And you got to tell yourself that. You got to build in some sort of life hack that allows you to not lose interest while you pick up other skills and other things that interest you. Another hack that I've done is fold a lot of your interests into what you're already doing. So if you have a project that's halfway done and you don't know how to finish it, maybe you got something over here that it can fit with. And then the final bit that I see as a massive pain point for an intuitive feeling creative is the promotion marketing aspect of it, because a lot of intuitive feelers are very shy people and they don't like to just jump up and down. We actually look at people who are always promoting as kind of like tacky or obnoxious, and we all kind of come from that we want the art to speak for itself kind of crowd. I totally get that. I feel that way the majority of the time. I just know that to honor the art, you have to finish it and you have to promote it. I'm not looking at it as business, or, sell. I'm looking at it as I put in the work, And I stand by the work, and I think it should connect with people that would like it. Connection sometimes means they purchase it, you know? But I've lived long enough to know that everything that you don't talk about and that you sort of like keep to yourself, whether it is your creative works or your feelings or, you know, thoughts and ideas, it's going to vanish. It's suffering by staying in a closet. Look at your artwork as living, breathing extensions of you, in the sense that maybe your children are, or your pets, or other things you value in life. You have to tell people about it, whether or not you think it's any good, or it's too weird, or it doesn't stand up with what other people are doing. I have to tell you, there's a market for everything. Your promotion doesn't have to be tacky. Your promotion can be as simple as making YouTube videos of you making the stuff and talking about why you liked making it. I adore videos from authentic artists that are talking to camera and drawing at the same time and just, you know, describing what's going on in their weird brain and why they made their choices and what their influences are and all that stuff. That connects to me. And if it connects to me, I know it's going to connect to other people. And the reason I know that is because I've been able to connect to other people that way. Also, the artists that got sort of like big and famous, but were INFPs to the bone. It could be Alan Moore, Guillermo del Toro, John Lennon, you name it. They're out there talking about all the stuff that's meaningful to them too. When you look at an interview with Brendan Flowers of The Killers, he talks more about Bruce Springsteen and U2 and New Order and Depeche Mode mean to him and their band than he really talks about who he is as a person. He's actually uncomfortable with that, but that's okay. It's the continuum of creativity that flows from those artists to Brandon, to The Killers, to me, you know, and I understand it. And the parts of him that are really personal in his song lyrics, they connect to, is there a business side to what The Killers do? Do they sell tickets? Do they sell t-shirts? Do they sell CDs and other kinds of merchandise? Obviously they do. And I am happy to pay money to them because I have that natural connection. Never once have I thought that they're just, you know, the most famous band that's super capitalist and all about raking in dough is Kiss. And I have zero connection to Kiss. Great that there are people in the world that have. Obviously, they've been a very famous band since the 70s or whenever they came out. It's unnecessary. There's ways to have a career without being obnoxious with your selling. Truthfully, if you want to cut through all the other people who are out there selling, just be your authentic self. Turn on your phone camera, speak to it, show your process, get people interested. It's going to work. All right. Hope you enjoyed these 4 pain points from the perspective of an INFP. Intuitive feeling creative. Could apply to you even if you're not an INFP, but obviously there's no one quick solution to every problem we ever come across. As artists sort of illustrated, all of these things have to do with your personality, maybe getting distracted or feeling like you're not good enough or that you don't want to bother people. Very common feelings in the sweet, sweet soul of the INFP creative. Dude, you're not bothering anybody. If you're doing what you were made to do by the creator, then you are doing the right thing and you're inspiring other people, whether you know it or not. Best of luck to you in your creative endeavors. Talk to you next time.